Vikings are 8 games in, a.k.a. halfway in. It's halftime, America, of the 2020 season. So taking a look back and recapping how the historic 15-player draft class, the most in 7-round NFL history, is faring so far for the Minnesota Vikings. So starting off the top, so number 22 overall, number 18 in your program, numero uno in your heart, Justin friggin' Jefferson, and that is his actual middle name. Legally changed it, the wide receiver out of LSU. He is a Rookie of the Year candidate. 34 catches, leading the Vikings with 627 yards receiving, as well as 3 touchdowns. He is an absolute dynamo. I think that he is easily the best rookie wide receiver. People say CeeDee Lamb. I say no. I say no to your face. He's also second in the NFL in PFF grade. He's also, but he is number 1 in the NFL in PFF grade of wide receivers who actually matter. So cool. Other first round pick. 31 overall, because remember the Vikings were at 25 and then they traded back to 31 with San Francisco, picking up Jeff El Jefe Gladney, the cornerback at TCU. Now he's really coming together. Was basically up on blocks week 1 against the Packers. Got thrown in the fire against the Colts, but he's really come around. 488 snaps so far this season as the starting cornerback as well as the main guy in the slot. He's broken up 2 passes, highest graded qualifying Vikings PFF cornerback at 60.8. Also phenomenal in run support. He's got 41 tackles as well. You can just tell that he's getting it. I think him being an older prospect certainly helps. But he's definitely starting to flatten the curve in terms of the drop-off from the veterans to institutional knowledge, even though, I mean, last year, let's be honest, Xavier Waynes were not that great. Mac was Mac, but yeah. Second-round pick. So number 58 overall, Ezra friggin' Cleveland, the offensive tackle out of Boise State, finally getting the time of day the last 3 games. And Falcons game, the Packers game, road grader. Lions game was solid. So you're seeing the athletic prowess, you're seeing the solidness, you're seeing everything. And you also wonder why it took so long. Same thing with Jefferson, by the way. Mainly an afterthought for the first 2 weeks. He didn't even see the field until midway through the second quarter of the Packers game. Would have been kind of nice to have him out there, but Vikings are finally getting their rookies in. It's a downside of no preseason. So Ezra, it took a mystery, was a thumb injury to Elfline and then a mystery wrist injury to Samia to finally get Ezra on the field, but he ain't coming off ever. Into the third round. So number 89 overall, Cameron Tiny Dantzler, cornerback on Mississippi State. Now, he was the toast of camp. He got the time of day even more than Jeff Gladney early on, but was up and down, but still a lot to like. You like the length, you like the size. Scary concussion against the Packers, but also potentially could be in line to practice this week and get back after it against the Bears. So I think Gladney and Dantzler, nice combination going forward. Fourth round, big fourth round. So you got DJ Wadham, edge rusher out of South Carolina. He's really stepped in the absence of Daniil and now Yannick Ngakoue. 203 snaps, 10 pressures, 2 sacks, including calling game against the greasy, grimy Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers. He gets better every single week. And also they're using him not just on the edge, but they're kicking him inside as a stand-up linebacker on third down. There's a lot of really interesting things that they're doing with DJ Wadham. Fellow fourth-rounder, James Lynch, defensive interior out of Baylor. Now, he's only played 32 snaps. Part of that is, I don't know, and also Jaleel Johnson and Armon Watts are playing better, but did have a nice sack against Seattle. Just, he needs more time. It's the same argument as Armon Watts last year. Just let the guy play. Also in the fourth round, 132, Troy Dye, linebacker out of Oregon. Coverage guy, you love him, team leader. And also he came back from a foot injury early on. He's been the starter in the base package with Anthony Barr on injured reserve with that torn pec. He's got 5 tackles on 67 total snaps now. He's quote-unquote a starter, but the Vikings played nickel about 60% of the time. So, you know, but he's been in there when they've been in their base 4-3 with Wilson, Kendricks, and Dye. Those are the 3 linebackers. Fifth round, Harrison Hand, 169. Nice. Cornerback out of Temple, also played at Baylor. 66 snaps, 7 tackles so far. 67. I'm good at reading. 66 snaps, 7 tackles. Nailed it. Also, confusingly enough, he's played 66 snaps on special teams as well. So 66 for both. Great. But also he's been contributing on special teams, on kick return, on kick coverage, as well as on punt return mainly. Also fifth round, 176, KJ Osborne, the wide receiver out of Miami, also played at Buffalo. Injured and then came back. Was also benched at one point, but but he's been the kick returner and punt returner mainly, averaging 22.2 yards per return for kicks on 13 returns. Only returned 2 punts so far. Lost 3 yards on the one against the Lions. Also been working in as a punt gunner. Has not taken an offensive snap as of yet. 6th round. 203, you got Blake Brandel, the offensive tackle coming out of Oregon State. So had himself a nice camp, was actually working with the twos before who was hurt? Oh, no, Oli Udoh was on the COVID list. There you go. But overall had himself a nice camp, is on the practice squad. I think he could potentially develop into a swing backup tackle. Maybe even more than that. 6th round, 205. So Josh Metellus, safety out of Michigan, has logged 118 total snaps on special teams. Also has 5 special teams tackles. Now, he was pressed into duty. Against the Packers when there was like 17,000 cornerback injuries. So he was on the field on that last drive mainly. But, I mean, Metellus, I like him as a special teams guy. I think Curtis Riley, the safety that they picked up off the street during the season, has gotten a little bit more of the time of day, but we'll see. Into the 7th round. So 225, Kenny Willekes, edge rusher coming out of Michigan State. So I liked him. He is the Rudy of the team. Ironically, there's a Rudy from Notre Dame on the Vikings as well, but but he's been on injured reserve since training camp with a undisclosed leg injury. Also 7th round, got Nate Stanley, quarterback out of Iowa. Big, tall, big arm, immobile, practice squad quarterback with Jake Browning. So. Also, he's the only non-first round quarterback the Vikings have drafted since 2008, so celebrate good times. Come on. Also 7th round, 249, Brian Cole II, safety out of Mississippi State. Now, it's ironic. So he played slot corner at Mississippi State. He's basically a linebacker. He just brings the wood, but he was one of the first cuts. And it was kind of surprising, but he was signed to the practice squad of the Dolphins. He's the only one of the 15 draft picks not to make the sphere of the roster or the practice squad. And lastly, finishing out 253, our guy, Kyle Big Hinton, offensive guard out of Washburn University. Go Ichabods. Now, I think that he has got a pretty bright future. I wouldn't be shocked if eventually he works his way onto the roster. Maybe starts threatening for one of the guard spots. Maybe they'll kick Ezra Cleveland back out to tackle, but that's pie in the sky stuff. I think overall, Vikings going to let the pride of Washburn marinate for a year and then go from there. Into the UDFAs. So the initial UDFAs, so we're not getting into like Luther Kirk, who came aboard midseason and whatnot, but up at the top, so you got Courtney Davis, the wide receiver out of Texas A&M. Now, he was cut, not practice squad, not anywhere, which is sad because a lot of us had very high hopes for Courtney Davis, took on the number 14, and it's just like, didn't quite work out. What can you do? Oh, maybe when the Vikings draft Kellen Mond in the mid-rounds, they can hook back up and a little bit more Aggie power year 2. Also, initial UDFA Brady Aiello, utility offensive lineman from Oregon, was signed to the Browns practice squad after the Vikings cut him, but hasn't caught on anywhere else. Dantzler, the pride of Penn State, former track star, 6'3", runs like a 4.3 40, made the 53 as a punt gunner and doing some great things out there. Also, another guy who had high hopes, Neville Clark, the cornerback out of Central Florida. Now, I mean, a lot of people were high on him, and he played fairly well at training camp, but was cut, no practice squad, hasn't caught on anywhere since. Now, it is a little bit telling since the Vikings have had so many injuries at cornerback that they haven't even brought him in for another sniff. So, is what it is. Miles Dorn, the safety out of North Carolina, is on IR with an undisclosed injury. Tyler Higbee, offensive lineman from Michigan State. Now, he was on the COVID reserve list for a long time and then was an early cut, has not been retained or re-signed anywhere else. Jake Lucina, the pride of Augustana, also Cretin-Durham Hall, also son of former Vikings offensive lineman Corbin Lucina, part of final cuts. And reportedly, it was down between him and Brett Jones. Went to the veteran. Maybe because Jake Lucina wouldn't put up with the way that the Vikings treat Brett Jones. I don't know. Blake Lynch, linebacker out of Baylor. Now, he's an interesting guy. He's a physical specimen. Also, he's played safety and cornerback and running back and wide receiver. He's really interesting. On the practice squad all season. Maybe something will develop down the line. David Moa, nose tackle out of Boise State, was waived, then was initially on the Atlanta practice squad, is not there currently. Nakia Griffin-Stewart, tight end out of Pitt. Now, He and Brandon Dillon kind of close, but then Griffin Stewart was let go. He was signed to the Packers practice squad briefly. You're likely to get a little bit of intel ahead of week 1 and is not currently on a practice squad. Jake Bargas, the tight end from North Carolina, has switched him to fullback. He's currently on the Vikings practice squad, as well as finally Jordan Fair, physical freak linebacker out of Appalachian State, was cut and is not caught on anywhere else. So that is the recap of the Vikings draft class. 15 friggin' picks, as well as a suite of initial UDFAs. That's where they're at mid-season. But your thoughts, let us know in the comments section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support that work, post on the Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.